आपने प्राणिक हीलिंग कैसे सीखा?
I was going through major turmoil in my personal life. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to change. Thanks to Pranic Healing.
इमोशनल और मेंटल हेल्थ वो इन्फ्लुएंस करता है.
Absolutely.
Culture of a company impact the performance of the employees.
The culture of the organization determines the performance of the company.
Hi, I'm Rachna Patel, and welcome to Wellness 9 to 5 with a fresh episode with Fatima Lokhandwala. So, Fatima Lokhandwala has got 20 plus years of work experience in the field of HR, and she's worked with various organizations like JP Morgan Chase, Deutsche Bank, and Shadi.com. Well, she is a pranic healer, an Aratic yoga practitioner, a mother to a teen, a dear friend of mine, and an ex-colleague. So, welcome to the episode, Fatima.
So, Fatima, does the culture of a company impact the performance of the employees?
Absolutely. It's a no-brainer. The culture of the organization determines the performance of the company. Okay? What is the culture? It's the actions people take and the decisions people take. Now, basis that, it determines whether the organization will be successful or not. Okay?
So, for example, you could have a set of cultures that are written down on your, everywhere in your meeting rooms and across the board.
Posters.
Yes. But if you're not actioning it, and if you're not implementing it, and if you are not taking decisions based on it, then it's just going to be something on the wall and you're not living by it. And that could be detrimental for the organization.
So when I say company culture, of course, I'm not just referring to the playbook per se, okay? Where you have certain posters and certain values and ethics which are written. Of course, that's a part of the values and ethics of a certain organization. But also the underlying currents, the softer underlying currents of an organization, which are not seen but probably felt.
Absolutely.
In terms of how many times are we, trying to enforce it?
Repeatedly, whether consciously or unconsciously, within the employees or the human capital of an organization. So I'm referring to that, and that, like I said, it just goes a lot beyond what's just written. Because I've worked with all these companies, and they have a certain work culture, but sometimes I just like I said, I just couldn't probably fit into it directly because I came with my own set of value additions in terms of work, all the culture that I wanted for my team. So culture within the culture kind of a thing.
Correct.
And that's how I was able to influence the performance of my team members. So I am referring to, and we can obviously take an example of, let's say, Shadi.com, because we both work there and we know how the work culture is over there. We are, of course, expected to, think and be on our feet all the time, whether it is thinking or action or ownership for that matter, and those are obviously, the work culture part of it, right? Which is not, spelled out in so many ways, but it is a part of the work culture, right? And that is what Anupam will obviously always appreciate, and reinstill as a part of the work culture. So the work culture is an overall work culture that we talk to, but there are also flavors which employees bring in, and especially if you are in a leadership position or you are able to influence people at a certain level. Okay, you have you have your own ways of working.
Absolutely.
We may not call it work culture, but yeah, you have your own ways of working, and you influence people who you're working with. Around you, below you, above you, all of it. Okay. So, what is your take on this? And have you seen a difference within a work culture setup of an organization where people in key positions, whether they could be a team leader or they could be somebody at a very high position, like an HOD, head of department, have they brought in their own set of values and styles of working, if I may put it that way, and hence being able to influence their own teams and make certain cohorts of sorts within work culture.
I've seen that happen multiple times in my career. Okay. The minute you bring change in leadership, they'll have their own style, they'll have their own ways of working. And slowly two things happen. Either they further our culture or they change as per the culture. Only then it's like a happy balance.
So, what are the key differentiators between average performers and high performers, according to you?
Tough, but I will tell you, according to me, there are just these two things that are the key differentiators for anybody to be successful at anything. Okay. One is discipline, and second is persistence and resilience at the time of hardship. Increasingly, I've seen that most times people, when they are hit with a roadblock or a failure or a downside towards life, they tend to get so adversely affected and their mental health is so badly affected, they don't have the resilience to come back, bounce, and or it takes them a much longer time. I think we are failing as a generation to teach and imbibe these qualities in newcomers. I'm hearing a lot about depression, anxiety, and things like that, which I didn't hear so much before.
10 years ago, or even 5 years ago.
So I feel that's something we haven't inculcated or we haven't taught the next generation to be more resilient. Okay, in adversity, in hardships, in setbacks, in failures, how do you actually fight that back and come back stronger and take this as learnings and not like a permanent failure? Today, people can't take a heartbreak. They feel it's the end of the world and they want to commit suicide. So I think,
or they just go the other end of the spectrum and have too many flings.
yeah, I'm just saying there like that I feel saddened about, and I think as people and as we grow, we should do that as the first thing, that we should raise more resilient kids who are okay to fail and come back and bounce back.
तो resilient का मतलब exactly क्या होता है?
Resilient मतलब हार्डशिप कोई भी आए आपकी लाइफ में, कितना भी सेटबैक हो, फेलियर हो, ह्यूमिलिएशन हो, you will learn the lesson and come back stronger and overcome it.
And also you will continue. आप continue करेंगे.
जी, आप give up नहीं करोगे.
आप give up नहीं करोगे, easily give up नहीं करोगे.
Correct. Because मैं आपको बताती हूँ, प्रोफेशनल लाइफ ले लो, एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप लाइफ ले लो, पर्सनल लाइफ ले लो, कोई भी ले लो आप लाइफ, शादीशुदा लाइफ ले लीजिए, एनीथिंग, पेरेंटिंग, you are going to feel like a failure at some point in your life. आपको ऐसा लगेगा कि आप कुछ सही नहीं कर रहे हो लाइफ में. But it's about how you keep going at it and solve one thing after the other.
So now again coming back to our point. So you said discipline and resilience, but there are other things also, probably which come to my mind, and you probably throw some light on it. Are also looking at doing something which I really enjoy doing. Okay, where the fitment is good, so to say, in terms of what work I'm doing and what are my core skill set and what really brings joy to me. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is also the kind of environment that, or the relationship that is there between the manager and his subordinates, right? So so those things, because sometimes a person may not be a right fit for a particular role, and because of which he doesn't enjoy and hence is average. Okay, and this is what I've seen when I have led teams, right? I mean, if you're not, so mine were very fast-paced decisions, fast-paced changes that I implemented, and a lot of fast-paced output that I expected from people. And if you are the type who loves to take things slowly, aram se, you'll never be probably a good fit for me, doesn't in my team, so to say. Not necessarily that you are not a good fit anywhere else, right? So there are organizations which love to take things a little slower, okay? but may not be the right person for my team. So that's one part. And the second part is enjoy doing their work. Okay. And when I say enjoy doing your work, you keep all your guards down. Okay. You're not guarded all the time. You're not stressed out. You're not worried. You don't have fear. You keep all those things aside. You consider your work life as as your working family, right? And have great bonhomie, camaraderie,
Yeah.
right? And then work like a team, right? Where I may not have everything that is required to achieve a goal or a target, but we all together can do it. जो हम सब अपने inputs लेके आते हैं, अपने skill set लेके आते हैं, हम जो enjoy करते हैं, we bring all those things to the table and we work together. It's just like a team playing a sport, right? Where everybody has their own skill sets, though everybody knows everything, right? So, say for example, if it is a football team, or maybe it's cricket, right? Cricket is very famous, or it's like a dish that you're cooking, right? There are different ingredients, different flavors, different spices. It's not one thing that dominates the other, and you cannot be everything. But also, when you all come together in the perfect combination, in the perfect proportion, is when a great dish is prepared. Okay, so that's what I also would love to add here. Additionally, based on my experience, as a difference between being an average performer to somebody who actually can become a high performer, because it's the goals that you set, and you say, I give you all the freedom, just go and do it.
हमने अभी देखा कि एवरेज परफॉर्मर्स और हाई परफॉर्मर्स में डिफरेंसेस ढूंढते हैं और कुछ कुछ चीजें हैं जैसे डिसिप्लिन हो गया रेजिलियंस हो गया, आप कितना नहीं करते हैं, बट क्या आपको ये लगता है कि इमोशनल और मेंटल हेल्थ जो है वो इन्फ्लुएंस करता है परफॉर्मेंस के ऊपर, और वो एक की डिफरेंशिएटर हो सकता है बिटवीन एवरेज परफॉर्मर्स एंड हाई परफॉर्मर्स? एंड द सेकेंड क्वेश्चन ये है कि क्या वो एवरेज परफॉर्मर्स या बिलो एवरेज परफॉर्मर्स का परफॉर्मेंस इम्प्रूव कर सकता है, और ऑलरेडी जो हाई परफॉर्मर्स है उनका परफॉर्मेंस और रेज कर सकता है, उनका बार जो है स्टैंडर्ड्स जो है बहुत ज्यादा इम्प्रूव कर सकता है?
एब्सोल्युटली. आपका इमोशनल वेलबींग सबसे ज्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट है आपका परफॉर्मेंस के लिए, एंड इट्स एक्सट्रीमली इम्पोर्टेंट. आई कैन नॉट एम्फसाइज मोर कि हाउ इमोशनल वेलबींग प्लेज अ very very critical part in your overall performance. I think most of the physical exercises also help in improving your emotional and mental well-being, and hence it's done for a reason, because it gives out dopamine and things like that. So emotional well-being becomes the crux of everything that we do, and also it has synergies with your physical well-being, because you know about the psychosomatic diseases and stuff like that. Okay, so if your health is, your mental, physical and emotional health is in the prime state, obviously it will reflect very well on your performance. You will have better attendance, you have better focus, better concentration. आप deep work कर सकते हो, आप distract नहीं होगे, आप emotional regulation at work जो required है वो कर सकते हो. आपकी फैमिली लाइफ भी रेगुलेटेड रहेगी तो द इम्पैक्ट ऑन वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस इज आल्सो देयर. सो आई थिंक देयर इज एन ओवरऑल इम्पैक्ट इन योर एंटायर वेलबीइंग.
So basically what you're trying to say is, if you are in good space internally,
Yes.
then you will be obviously in good space externally, because what is inside will obviously reflect outside.
Absolutely.
And the attempt is more of working from inside out rather than working from outside in.
Correct.
Right? And the other part is, do you think that a person who's already a good performer, right? जो already अच्छा कर रहा है, ठीक है, who's in the top, 10% और top quartile की जो बात करते हैं परफॉर्मेंस में, क्या वो भी अपना परफॉर्मेंस इंप्रूव कर सकते हैं?
Absolutely.
कैसे? And why do you believe so?
Okay, so let's start with moving the average performer to top performers. Mental health plays a critical role. If they feel they're not good enough or anything like that, they will always perform at a lower level. They will not take those opportunities, not raise their hands when it's really required. They will not go for initiatives that they really believe in. Okay. So that's where mental health also comes in. Or if they are anxious or, depressed, then obviously they're not going to be go-getters and not.
Or to add to that, even just a very open environment, where we're open in our communication.
Absolutely. So if we are not that also, it's an environment thing also. If your manager is not very supportive, I've also seen a lot of employees take a step back and they'll say, let it be. We don't want to do anything additional.
They become more laid back then.
Yes, laid back, or they don't take those risks because they don't have somebody's back.
They're okay within their confinements.
Yes, and they want to have a safe and secure and complacency and all that.
Right.
So that's A. With B, high performers even raising the bar further. That's like next level, okay? And for that to happen, right, they have to have that mindset shift, okay? Where they bring in ideas, innovations, they automate stuff that they've been working on, and they use better technology like Gen AI and stuff like that to up their game and start doing things that nobody has even thought of in their team. So that, with very good high self-esteem, with the support of the managers, with the right environment, I think they can really bring it to the next level and actually get some breakthrough performance for the organization and add great value to the teams.
Right. Yeah. And also a lot of freedom to do what they believe somewhere, in their heart that, this will work and this can actually raise the bar, differently from what they've been doing so far. So yes, then we agree that, a good mental and emotional well-being will actually help improve right from the average performers or even below par performers, improve it by a certain percentage, and it will also help the top performers to actually up their game and raise the bar and be the initiators, so to say, in their own spaces.
Correct.
And see a different kind of a game, right?
Correct. I just want to add, like Google is a great example for innovation. We have get some mind-boggling products, which, we are all aware and we use in our daily life. Like Gmail, which millions of people are using today on, in the world, was actually created like a side project by an engineer. Can you imagine the success and what revenue it brings to the table now? So I'm just saying that this is what it can lead to.
Right.
If you have the right people in the right headspace, in the right environment, it can really exponential the company's growth.
Okay. So yeah, sounds very interesting, no? Because nobody has. See, everybody speaks of mental and emotional health, of employees, more towards average performers, or more towards, it being something which is there on the sides for people to avail as and when they feel the need. But it's not really mainstream, at the moment. And when you put in these thoughts, and as we're having our conversation, I realized that actually, if mental health and well-being is focused on improving our own mental health and well-being, or of the teams or of people within the organization, you will see a direct impact. Maybe not immediately, but eventually you'll see a huge shift in the bell curve itself.
Absolutely. In fact, there's a report by Deloitte where it says that 33% of the employee force is pseudo employees because of the mental health issues. Now that's a huge revenue loss to the organization.
So, आप थोड़ा explain कर सकते हैं pseudo employment का मतलब क्या है? बिकॉज ये ना ये बहुत एक नया, दिस इज न्यू टर्म राइट, ये बहुत एक नया वर्ड है जो शायद सबको नहीं पता होगा. ओके, ऑफ कोर्स डेलॉयड हैज डन दिस रिपोर्ट, बट आप थोड़ा इलैबोरेट करेंगे इसके ऊपर, थोड़ा और डिटेल में जाएंगे.
ठीक है. तो बेसिक फर्क मैं आपको समझाना चाहती हूँ. इट्स लाइक रनिंग ऑन अ ट्रेडमिल और एक्चुअली रनिंग ऑन अ रोड. Running on a treadmill is you're in the same place and you're just running. But running on an actual road, you're covering distance and stuff like that. Okay? तो employee आपको काम करते दिखेंगे पर वो actual में productive नहीं होते हैं. That's the basic difference between the two. And that's the pseudo employee.
So here when you say काम करते हुए दिखेंगे, okay, which is a big eye opener for people like us. But वो actually काम नहीं कर रहे हैं. You know, it's more like disguised
Employment,
you know?
yeah.
और वो इसके लिए होता है क्योंकि उनका जो हेड स्पेस है वो सही नहीं है, right?
Yes.
On all the days. Of course, it's humanly not possible to be at optimal levels, performing at optimal levels throughout, you know, your working life period. We all have our ups and downs. But ये जो आप बोल रहे हो 33%, इसका मतलब ये है कि वो रिपोर्ट कर रहे हैं काम पे, बट वो 100% है ही नहीं.
Correct.
वो सिर्फ 70% है क्योंकि उनको और कुछ बैक ऑफ द माइंड चल रहा है.
तो वो फिजिकली प्रेजेंट है, वो स्क्रीन की तरफ शायद देख रहे हैं पर वो एक्चुअल में नहीं कर रहे हैं, या फिर दे आर ऑन देयर मोबाइल और समथिंग लाइक दैट. सो ऑनेस्टली इफ इट्स 30% ऑफ your employees
It's
life,
a huge, it's a huge hit on the bottom line of
Yeah.
organizations. And I think if organizations can focus on improving the mental health and well-being, of their own employees, and even save, let's say, 15% of the pseudo employeeism, you know, it will bring a lot of value to the table. What do you say?
Absolutely. I've seen so many times, especially in a sales function. If your manager has shouted on you, that day your sales is zero. Because you're
That's not evident in sales because
Yeah,
numbers reflect करता है. But
Exactly.
let's look at the
But
softer part.
they have done their input metric, meaning they have done their 100 calls, they have spoken for 2.5, 3 hours.
But उसमें
whatever.
कितना enthusiasm था, उसमें कितना expectation था, उसमें कितना urge for closure था, you know, all those underlyings.
और explaining the true value or understanding the customer, वो सब नहीं हो करते हैं फिर, because they're like, oh, okay, वैसे भी डांट पड़ रही है, तो then why should I do?
So that is when you're talking about sales, it's much easier to track. Look, you know, it's a number thing. It's something that every sales team would track every day.
But the difficult part is to,
yeah. What about the other teams which are not, where you're not tracking productivity per se on every single day? So say for example, operations, say for example, the other functions which are there. Okay, because sales is just one part of the whole.
There is tech, there is product,
there's everybody,
there's HR,
there's so many of them, customer service, and who's and who, right?
Yeah.
So how do you and that's a bigger number than the sales team.
No, I'm just giving an example.
So I'm just saying that, so that 30% is an eye opener, according to me. So I think it's time for organizations to seriously look at upping the emotional and mental health, of their employees, and also tracking how it is, how it is impacting their performance, whether in terms of efficiency, whether it is in terms of effectiveness, okay, or productivity, because there are different measures for different functions.
Yes.
Right? Everybody cannot be measured on the same scale.
Yes. So I'll just tell you that pre and post COVID, I've seen that shift happen. Post COVID, I've seen a lot more employees focus on employees' mental well-being, because during COVID, people realized the real importance of this. A lot of people went through depression, anxiety, and things like that, because of the whole, no social interaction,
Correct.
no going out, and, you're just secluded in your space, and, the walls came closer than you'd imagine.
You couldn't basically stay with yourselves and the people whom you were enclosed with.
Yes. So that kind of brought it to the forefront even more. Okay.
Correct.
So people started to empanel, vendor partners who specialize in it. Now, what I see as an HR professional, the biggest challenge with these vendor partners is they're not able to give you the ROI. or the correct metric that because of this initiative, or because of people doing or going to a therapist or going to a counselor or whatever you would call it, this is the impact on business. Now, with every cost, there is a rationale, there is some, ROI attached to it.
Correct.
If you're not able to always, no, I'm not saying always, it's not always a direct ROI, it could be an
Correct.
indirect one,
Correct.
whatever be
Correct.
it, but there has to be some way to,
Some metric to track.
some metric to correlate its importance in the organization. And that's why it's just taken as a tick in the box activity by most orgs,
Absolutely.
and not a sustained effort which requires to be put in. So what happens is, what I've seen across organization is, it's a vendor partner, they send communications, and then
So vendor partner का मतलब क्या है? आप थोड़ा सा डिटेल में बताएंगे इसको?
vendor partner is nothing but a partner who specializes in, and then you onboard
In mental health and
mental-
wellness, or generally?
in mental health. Yeah, generally vendor partners mean anybody you partner with who's external, who comes with their
तो आप
specialization.
टाई अप करते हो
Tie up,
बेसिकली
yes.
एक्सटर्नल एंटिटीज के साथ, एक्सटर्नल ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस के साथ जो आपको ये सारे सपोर्ट प्रोवाइड करती है.
Correct.
एंड वन पार्ट ऑफ इट इज मेंटल एंड इमोशनल वेलबींग,
Yes.
right, where they provide counselors. But honestly, of course, it's not mainstream. You agree with it?
Also, there is in India, we are at a very nascent stage because there's still stigma attached to the whole
That was the
emotional,
next point. Yeah.
emotional or mental well-being. Honestly speaking, how many times? I mean, at least I'm glad that somewhere the Gen Z is at least open and
More vocal.
and they verbalize it that okay, I'm going through anxiety. Maybe not correctly diagnosed or not
Correct.
correctly diagnosed. That's separate, but at least they know that something's off with them and they are open to going to a counselor. But others, they'll say, "Arey, what's the big deal? You go to sleep or go
ये
out.
तो normal है.
ये तो normal है. You're feeling low. अच्छा ठीक हो जाएगा.
एक सिगरेट स्मोक करके आ जाओ.
या फिर go have a peg." No, that's how we are dismissive of it. Okay.
That's our coping mechanism.
Yes.
हम उसको कैसे डील करते हैं उस एंजाइटी और स्ट्रेस को.
Correct. So I think, or go take a 10-day break, you'll feel better. That's how we want to deal with it. Okay. And that sometimes is sad because, unless you go through it, you don't have the sensitivity कि कैसे इसको approach किया जाए.
और कैसे डील भी करना है
हाँ.
उसको, और उसका क्या इम्पैक्ट हो रहा है मेरे जॉब पे. How is it impacting my job? So yeah, the uptake I believe is very, very low,
Yes.
of these facilities,
Yes.
capabilities which are there provided by the organization. But I think the uptake is just is like more in single digit.
Absolutely.
At this point in time, the engagement is very less. And कुछ reasons ये है कि एक तो टैबू है, बहुत ये चीजें जो है वो ओपनली हम लोग बोलते नहीं है. एक ये चीज है.
And the other thing is prejudice, right? अगर मेरे बॉस को या मेरे कलीग को पता चल जाएगा कि मुझ में एंजाइटी इश्यूज है, या मेरे में अभी आई एम फीलिंग लो, थोड़ा सा डिप्रेशन में हूँ बिकॉज कुछ कारणवश फॉर वट एवर रीजंस, तो मेरा अप्रेजल्स पे इम्पैक्ट हो जाएगा, मेरा रेटिंग खराब हो जाएगा, मुझे प्रमोशन के लिए कंसिडर ही नहीं करेंगे. बिकॉज द एक्सप्लेनेशन वुड ऑब्वियसली बी कि तुम अगर स्ट्रेस इज अ पार्ट एंड पार्सल ऑफ दैट
रोल. Yes.
रोल ऑफ दैट जेडी जॉब डिस्क्रिप्शन, तो अगर नहीं हैंडल कर पाते हो तो यू डू व्हाट यू कैन हैंडल.
Correct.
Right? So how open are we then in terms of embracing the fact that employees, especially human capital, should take it more seriously, and how can HR, be very pivotal in driving this within the organization. See, tie up करना एक बात है, available होना एक बात है, लेकिन क्या ऐसे कुछ सोच सकते हैं कि आप एक ग्रुप के साथ एक्सपेरिमेंट करो, उनका मेंटल हेल्थ और वेलबींग इंप्रूव करो, एंड देन यू आर एबल टू शो
Tangible results.
Like how we talk about it in in entrepreneurial lingo, product market fit bolo, or maybe not really product market fit, but proof of concept.
Proof of concept.
Okay.
So you've learned pranic healing, right? तो आपकी जर्नी के बारे में थोड़ा सा बताएंगे, आपने प्राणिक हीलिंग कैसे सीखा?
Okay, so around 2021, like just post COVID, I was like during COVID second wave, I was going through major turmoil in my personal life. So that was like a relationship issue that I had at that point in time. And hence we happened to speak, and you said, why don't you try some healings and stuff like that. So I came from a space of disbelief, like I don't know what's going to happen, I don't know what's going to change, and because logical mind said I didn't see any tangible results, and it's all very
Abstract.
and abstract. Okay, that's the word. So in that sense, what I trusted you at that point in time and said, okay, since I've known you, you would not put me into something which isn't really something that I, will just while away
Not
time.
result oriented.
Yeah. So I went ahead with what your recommendation was, and I did 90 days of twin hearts meditation. I also did forgiveness practice, and you also did healings. These three combined got a tangential result in the relationship, and really helped me. And that's when my belief in the Pranic Healing School and Grandmaster Chowkok Sui, the founder of Pranic Healing, was established. And I started then doing the courses. So I did the basic course, and I came back and I used it on my mother as a guinea pig and saw if she, अगर उनका जो frequent urination का problem है वो रात में solve होता है कि नहीं, और एक दो healing में ही उनको एक बहुत substantial difference नजर आया. So then I thought that this is probably working. If it's working for me and my mother, so then I did the advanced course, and then I did the psychotherapy
Other classes, yeah.
Yeah, and it just now we're doing back-to-back courses, and there's several other courses. So I just definitely will say that it has worked for me.
So since you've done all these classes and you've learned pranic healing in essence, and you're implementing it, I believe, as a part of your routine life to the extent possible, do you feel and believe that it has also brought about changes in your professional life? क्या आप वो डिफरेंस देख पा रहे हैं, टेंजिबल डिफरेंस जो हमेशा लगता है कि इसमें आपको डायरेक्ट रिजल्ट दिखता है?
I would say yes, okay, because I knew how I was before pranic healing, how I would respond to a situation to how I respond to a situation now is different. And this, even my work colleagues and my reportees have said that my approach and the way I respond has changed. So I would say thanks to pranic healing, that has definitely shown a tangible result in my workplace and my.
So did you see that when you were at peace internally with with various things that were going on, even your relationships at work actually improved? Your interpersonal relationships, the way you are interacting with your colleagues, did that actually change?
Yes, definitely. Even in stressful situations, I was able to navigate this thing. And, I was seeing a podcast, and it's amazing that, they say that the new superpower is emotional regulation.
Right.
And I would say pranic healing helped me with that.
Okay. So, and also what we were talking about earlier is that, there are older ways of being, right? I mean, we only learn to deal with situation in a particular way. And now with all these newer ways of, newer techniques that we are talking about, like pranic healing, you have been empowered with a newer approach of dealing with older problems. Is that correct to say?
Absolutely, that's correct to say.
So then that's good hope for a lot of people at work, to not just take down their work culture legacy and continue being the way they were, but learn newer ways of handling their, work better, their roles better, their positions better, and creating a better work environment. Would you agree with that, with all the tools and techniques?
Yes, and in pranic healing and aratic yoga is more of a way of being. because it teaches you the correct value systems. And of course, it's been taught to us in various ways throughout our life, by parents, religious books, and things like that. But this kind of simplifies in a way that you understand and relate to it better. And now I've started to correlate it with my religion also. It talks also the same thing. I think all religions talk about the same thing, but it's just much more simplified and easily palatable. So I would say that.
And it's also more process oriented, right? So it's easier to just look at the steps and just do exactly the same thing and implement it into your day-to-day life, to kind of improve not just physical ailments but also psychological issues as well, right?
Absolutely.
And which obviously where we see the effects of those on your work, at work. And let's talk about the experiments that have happened using pranic healing and aratic yoga tools and techniques within your organization. Okay, so let's just talk about that, and it'll help everybody to understand ki it is not a spirituality is not different or separate
from religion,
from your work.
Yeah.
Okay, they both can be integrated, साथ में hand in hand चल सकते हैं. और in fact, of course, we all know that in previous times, okay, I'm talking about long ago when there were kings, etc. That time, spirituality was taught in Gurukul, right? I mean, these were tools and techniques which were taught to people, okay, in their administration, in whether it is administration, whether it is warriorship, whether it is in फाइनेंस, अर्थशास्त्र. तो ये सारी चीजों में के साथ साथ आपको स्पिरिचुअलिटी भी एक समझाई जाती थी, सिखाई जाती थी. कल्चर मतलब आपके वो डीएनए में इम्बाइब होता था, राइट? And that is why when they handle everything, there was a lot of moral compass to it as well, okay, in their entire dealings, so to say, right? So now that and that it can be an integral part. It is not something which is separate over and above our day-to-day lives, because ये एक क्वेश्चन आ जाता है हमेशा कि हमारा प्रोडक्टिविटी हिट हो जाएगा अगर हाफ एन आवर अगर मेडिटेशन के लिए निकाल दिया. और मेडिटेशन इज वेरी बोरिंग. That is a typical feedback that or understanding that people have. यार मैं तो 10 मिनट के लिए भी बैठ नहीं सकता हूँ, 20 मिनट 21 मिनट कैसे मेडिटेट करूंगा. Okay, or so various thought processes are there around this, that it will make me less ambitious, it will make me more detached to everything, so there are a lot of falsies around the idea of spirituality or using energy science into their day-to-day lives. And could you just throw light on all these things, that how is energy science, how is pranic healing, how is aratic yoga important and can be an integral part and only help us improving it in all ways. Of course, improving the mental health and wellness, of course, of employees, but in general as well.
So I'll tell you, for a wholesome person, you need to be evolved energetically, like in terms of your physical health, mental health, emotional. Mental is basically your intellectual, emotional health, and spirituality. Okay, these are the 4 aspects to an individual to make it wholesome. Now, also, if that wholesome person goes to work, they tend to be more productive. So if you have like a team of people who are all wholesome, the natural thing for that team to happen is that they are all productive. Of course, given the other variables to be same, that it has a supportive environment.
Correct.
And all that.
There's more teamwork, more collaborative approach.
Camaraderie and relationship issues are less. Egos are not flying off the
more is achieved in less time.
Yeah. So, giving that, I think pranic healing and aratic yoga kind of fit in because it works on all these 4 aspects. Okay. So that's what I'm trying to say. Now, in terms of giving an example at a workplace.
Yeah, which is the experiment
that we did. Okay. So we had a team which had very high attrition and it had low performance because they were doing a lot of errors and it was a very, very critical function. I'd like to not name that right now, but
That's fine.
So there were a lot of these basic errors that were continuously happening.
But financial errors bhi the uske andar.
Yes.
Means there was a financial impact,
Yes,
right?
there was a financial impact
On those errors.
And of course, there was also a employee impact. Okay.
हाँ, वो तो ठीक है.
So, keeping that scenario in mind, what we did was we did a couple of things. Okay. First and foremost, for the head of that department, we started Twin Hearts meditation. Then what we did is started playing the Om on the at the place, so that it cleanses the aura of the energetically of the place. Third, what we did was I started to do the blue triangle. We applied certain tools and techniques which kind of help in basically purifying the place and with good intention.
So basically, what you're talking about is removing all the negativity around the thought processes and the negative energies, so to say.
Correct. And what we discovered after about a month or two doing this, that the team stabilized, the errors reduced dramatically, and it's finally now in a BAU process.
Oh wow, that's excellent to know. ये बहुत अच्छी बात कही जहाँ आपने बताया कि एक डायरेक्ट इम्पैक्ट जो आप पहले भी बोल रहे थे, यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट कि एक डायरेक्ट इम्पैक्ट नहीं आ रहा, दिखना चाहिए.
Correct.
Right, for organizations to buy these kind of ideas, okay, and implement it in the mainstream culture.
Correct.
So this is an extremely good example where how meditation has helped people, or a certain person, and the ripple effect was seen across in all the in the entire department, so to say. And एक जो आप ये बताते थे कि प्रोसेस में चेंजेस दिखे, लोगों में चेंजेस दिखे, बेसिकली आप लोगों को ठीक कर दोगे, प्रोसेस फॉल्स इन प्लेस.
करेक्ट.
इज व्हाट आई बिलीव. एंड नाउ इट इज ऑल स्ट्रीमलाइंड. ठीक है, अभी वो एकदम ही स्मूथली चल रहा है, राइट? And it is not a challenge at all. And all your financial loopholes were also taken care of.
Yes.
And plugged. तो एक financial impact भी उसका बहुत अच्छा आया है.
Correct.
Right? Which is excellent, because these things will inspire others to try out and not look at meditation as something that they do over and above everything else, because there is only 24 hours that all of us have. तो एक वो सोच होती है कि 24 घंटे में पहले ही हम इतना कुछ कर रहे हैं, इतना स्ट्रेच हो रहा है, उसके ऊपर अब पहले तो फिजिकल था, अभी बोल रहे कि अभी और मेडिटेशन भी करो, अभी ये और भी कुछ करो. So it's a good light that you're throwing on the entire subject, कि आपको उसको over and above आप जो कर रहे हो उसको वैसे नहीं देखना है, but you have to look at it as how it is going to improve your efficiency, so that you can free up a lot of your time which you're otherwise probably wasting just out of lack of improper mental and emotional health.
Correct.
Right? And you're just sitting and not doing anything about it, or you can't do anything about it, or for any other reasons.
Yeah.
Okay. So and do you see having said that, do you see a scope that in the near future, let's say in the next 5 years or so on and so forth, do you think that it's going to be mainstream? Of course, it's a futuristic question. I understand कि ये सारी चीजें जो हम फ्यूचर के बारे में पूछ रहे हैं, बट क्या आपको लगता है ट्रेंड के हिसाब से एक आपका टेक क्या है उसके ऊपर?
So I'll tell you that my take is, if you personally experience the entire thing, only then can actually are convinced about its implementation, like I was. Okay. But if somebody had to actually come and just pitch this, I probably would have not tried. So everybody has to first experience themselves. And I think the senior the person, the more the conviction.
Correct. Okay.
तो वो जरूरी है. अगर वो हो गया तो I think it will definitely have an impact.
Okay.
And what I targeted was only one team. Now imagine doing this for the entire org. So the
organization.
Yes. So that will have a tremendous impact on all departments.
So then we can actually look at a cultural shift, work culture shift that we've been talking about for so long.
Yeah.
Okay, where you can actually shift and show them different ways of working.
Yeah. But
right?
that will,
Of course, it will take time. I
Yeah.
understand
so
that.
you have to show it in small bits. And if they see like, oh, this is really working, that's when they will say that, okay, now do it for my entire org.
But do you believe that the time is right?
I think it always was.
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
It's just that it's understanding. Like anything takes time for us to understand.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I agree with you. क्योंकि esoteric science जिसको बोलते हैं, energy science जिसको बोलते हैं, वो ये एक थोड़ा सा नया concept नया नहीं है, concept बहुत पुराना है. Okay, but it's just that we are understanding it more intellectually now compared to what it used to be earlier.
Correct.
Okay, that is the only difference. But I asked this question specifically because most of us in corporates are left brain oriented.
Yes.
Which is more logic, more numbers, more analysis, paralysis of all sorts, and it really becomes very difficult to experiment on a topic like this, or using techniques like this, which are a little more abstract because we still can't see energy, right? We still can't see the energy field of a person, right?
And we don't even realize the the energy or the aura of an organization, a physical place, can be really filled with stress given if everybody is stressed in the organization. But we are not able to tangibly see that, and थोड़ा सा वो एक challenge आ जाता है. But if you see most of your CEOs and founders are all doing meditation or some sort. Absolutely. So if they are bought into that entire concept, that sort of helps with others also buying into.
So I think it's
Yes, so
manageable.
I agree with you because I have, when I talk to a lot of CXOs, whether it's CEO or anybody at a very senior level, I notice that they are doing some form of meditation. They are looking at, doing these things, which makes it very hopeful that we will sooner than later see these techniques being implemented into the entire organization. So I am looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to that time when everybody works, with these kind of tools and techniques and imbibes the essence of energy science into their day-to-day life, including work life. So thank you so much, Fatima, for being on the podcast.
Thank you.
It was really a pleasure and a lot of insights that we all got from this podcast. And we hope to bring to you a lot of such discussions in future with people from the HR, people from various fields of corporate life, whether it's CEOs, CXOs, HR heads, people from the HR, or people from the operations team. We will try and bring a lot of these people onto our podcast and get their views as well. And we hope with this podcast we are able to kind of bring about the need to start implementing these techniques, these understandings and spirituality into work life. So thank you so much. Thank you once again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rachna. Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
We had a blast shooting this entire episode and हमें बहुत सारी insights मिली कि कैसे एक कंपनी कल्चर को चेंज कर दिया जा सकता है सिर्फ एम्प्लॉई के मेंटल हेल्थ और वेलनेस के ऊपर फोकस करके, और वो जो सिर्फ सीमित नहीं है कंपनी तक बट ये पर्सनल लाइफ पे भी इम्पैक्ट करता है. So thank you so much for being such a lovely audience and watching this entire episode. If you feel that this episode has generated or created certain thoughts and you would like to comment, please don't forget to do so by commenting at the bottom of this episode, and do like and share this episode with all others and help us increase our reach.